Welcome to the Pool Nation podcast, where it's all pool talk. And we ain't talking about netting and jetting or splashing and dashing. We're talking about becoming a nation of pool pros. We talk about the latest products, trends, and training in the pool industry. Now let's welcome your host, with over a decade of industry insider experience and still the reigning champion of Marco Polo, Edgar De Jesus, and his co-host, John J.J. Flawless, the fastest netter in the West, and Zach the Pool Boy Nicholas.
Welcome, everyone, to the Pool Nation Live podcast. I am your host, Edgar De Jesus, and yes, I am the reigning champion of Marco Polo, along with John J.J. Flawless, the fastest netter in the West, and the famous Zach, the Pool Boy Nicholas. Today, we're talking about customer retention, and we're answering your business questions. But before we do that, I want to welcome you to our live podcast, a podcast where it's all pool talk, and we ain't talking about netting and jetting or splashing and dashing. We're talking about becoming a nation of pool pros. And yes, we will talk about the latest products, trends in pool industry. But before we get started, I want to thank our visionary partners for this podcast, the SPPA, Blu-ray XL, Aquastar Pool Products, Natural Chemistry, Raypack, Heritage Pool Supply, Hayward Pool Products, Poolside Tech, and Pool Brain. We want to thank them for their continued support. So today, I'm going to throw a little curveball because I think the one that's locked up and maybe struggling a little bit is JJ. JJ, good morning out in beautiful, sunny Texas.
Bro, I'm not sure what you've done to me over here, dude. I'm on day 2 of lockdown. For those that aren't familiar, out here in Texas, we had, I think it was like 9 inches of snow yesterday. And we flew in on Wednesday to come here because we had a week scheduled with some videos and with the podcast and such. But we were the last flight that got in about midnight on Wednesday. Everything else is canceled on Thursday. And we had about 9 inches worth of snow. And it is absolutely beautiful, right? It really is. It's quite the scenery change from where we're at in California. We were like at 80 degrees in the desert, which was nice as well, but snow has been out of the question. And the amount of snow that we have gotten here is just unbelievable. And I have a funny story to tell you about it. I've never driven in the snow. The last time I was in like real snow was probably 35 some years ago out in Boston, because this isn't like ice. This was real snow. And I did a little drive yesterday, but I'll talk about it in a second. But we can't make it out to the podcast studio, so I am in the bedroom. So I apologize to anybody watching this live or watching the video. My background is not an ideal choice. I was trying to fit in the picture so you guys can see what it looks like outside. Can you see?
Everybody that's watching, that is Texas.
Is that
How insane is that?
That's unbelievable. Unbelievable. But it's gorgeous. And it was fun watching. I brought my daughter out this time around and watching her go outside with Janie and my in-laws, and they were doing snow angels, and they made a little snowman, about a 2-foot snowman. But you can't really drive or do anything because of the conditions. And Texas really isn't built for snow. Things get a little crazy out here.
So you did drive?
I did drive.
Where'd you go?
I didn't go far. There was a...
He's like, I didn't go far.
Well, this is crazy. So there's a Mexican restaurant or a Tex-Mex restaurant that's
right outside.
Right outside.
Yeah.
Right there by the auto zone. But I don't have to get on the 380. I can take like the back road. So we ventured off and we did it, and it was fine going there. It wasn't too crazy.
Were they open?
They were open. We called them in the morning. They were open. So I think we were the only people that went there to eat, right, all day. So we had amazing service. Food was good.
All the servers fighting for your table.
Right, exactly. It was a ghost town, and there was just us. And then on our way back, we're driving, everything's cool. And then we're coming on Oak Grove, and we're about to hit Fish Trap, and it got a little squirrely. And as soon as I went to the stop sign, there was a car in front of me as well, and they slammed on their brakes pretty hard and fishtailed a little bit. And I was slowing down, and I ended up hitting the brakes pretty hard as well.
Ooh.
But I'm at the intersection. Now imagine, this is me not knowing. Before we left, we cleared out the snow that was all over the windshield so we can see and have the wipers going. Because of the force.
Don't tell me you didn't.
Dude, because of the force. No, I stopped right on the stop sign. It was all good. all of a sudden it was complete whiteout. Dude, there were 8 inches of snow from the roof, all came down, right, and covered the whole windshield. And it was like I was buried in like an avalanche or something. And I'm sitting there in the middle of an intersection, right? And I'm like, I can't see, babe. And I'm just sitting there, and there's cars that are coming around and cars behind us. So we had to get out in the middle of the intersection and start like clearing out all the snow because I couldn't see. And then I was like, live and learn. I was never taught that. So I did that. And then we crawl or whatever. We slowly went back to the house. The place was maybe 0.1 mile away from our home. So it wasn't far. I almost died.
Hey, we're glad you're alive after that, John. No, it's been absolutely crazy. And it's still snowing out here. Like I look out the window right here, it's still coming down. And it was some of the biggest snowflakes I've ever seen. And I've gone to Big Bear, Mammoth. I've been to Tahoe. Dude, they were like huge.
It's crazy. And you know what? Look, you know how we are, right? We like to stay productive. Our time is very valuable. We got things that we need to get done and do. And we plan these things out so that we can do it. And this, nobody could have known. It's like a freak of nature what happened. We originally thought that we were going to get snowed in yesterday, which we knew, and then it was going to start melting today and things were going to get better. We're going to be able to hit be able to maybe go out to the studio and do it, but it's just not safe. And then on Saturday, for sure, it'd be ready for us to be able to go out to the studio to be able to record some content and stuff. And then here we are waking up today and it's still snowing. And I'm like, it doesn't look like we're going to be able to really get much done, but I'm thankful. We were talking on the phone. I was like, you know what? It's sometimes we need to get checked, or sometimes somebody got to grab you by the throat and tell you, listen, you have no choice. This is what you got to do. And for us, even though I'm going stir crazy in this room, not being able to go anywhere and do anything, I'm learning to accept it and enjoy it because it's not a choice. It's not like I'm choosing to be here and not do anything and be lazy and kind of enjoy life. But I have no choice. It's like a forced vacation. So I'm thankful for that because we need it.
And it's a total change of scenery. So
it is.
It's something that you're not used to whatsoever. And there's something so soothing about it. For some reason, you get into that much snow and your RPMs just automatically drop, right? It's
100%.
Just you chill. I got bored yesterday because I'm the same way, right? And so we had people that were supposed to fly in, they had to cancel. And then Zach was coming up and Zach had to cancel because Zach's been safe down there. But coming up here, the roads were going to be a mess. It's like we'd have to be stuck. And then John was like, we'll get into the studio on Saturday. We'll do the videos. I don't even know if that's going to happen. Sienna is supposed to leave tomorrow. I don't even know how I'm going to get her to the airport. And I'm locked in the house. And so I decided yesterday at 4:00 in the afternoon, I'm like, I'm going to get some exercise. I'm going to go out and shovel the driveway out of the, and dude, we had good at that point, probably 6 inches of snow. And I started shoveling that driveway out there. I kid you not. I got done probably like at 6:30 at night, like 2.5 hours later. But I was able to get that energy out. But it was awesome to just do it out in the cold weather and jacket. And it was drizzling a little bit. And so I was able to, John, get some of that.
Yeah. And you don't adapt. You're not really good for the cold. You're not really
cold, dude.
But it's a good cold. It's not windy. It's not windy, Yeah. It's like a really dry cold. And I'm in here and actually have the windows open and it feels great.
But I had a jacket on and I had a beanie on, but obviously you're shoveling. So you start to get hot and stuff like that. But then came in and then I woke up this morning thinking, because what happened to us last time is we didn't clear the driveway and then there was a big coat of ice. So then if you were going to back out the car, it just slid all the way down the driveway, right? So I'm like, I'm going to clear it out. And then based on what they said, it was going to warm up today. And then all that wouldn't have to melt because it wasn't there. Yeah, I woke up and there's probably 2 more inches of snow in my driveway. But it's crazy. It's still snowing.
It's crazy how long it's lasting.
Yeah. Because the problem is today, the high is supposed to be 36 and it's overcast. So it's not going to be hot enough to be able to melt all that.
And the low is like 17.
Tonight is the worst. It's going to be like 17 or 18 degrees tonight. So that's going to be completely crazy out there. But John, you know what you need to do, because I have been getting messages. The last time it snowed like this, I did a live. I put my cowboy hat on. I put my cowboy boots on. I busted out the car, grabbed the rope. And hey, I don't have a sled. So I just grabbed my hamper basket and was doing rides around the block in the hamper. So
yeah, I don't think they make a hamper basket heavy duty enough for me.
Make it down here. bring it down here and we'll do it. But the neat thing was this time while I was shoveling snow yesterday there was all the kids. There was like tons of kids with their parents driving. There was one truck that had 4 kids that were dragging. They're all like little kids and stuff like that. But good times, John.
Yeah, and what's crazy, and we were talking about this as well on the phone, and Michael brought it up here in chat too, is it's surreal the difference. Like we come here and we have this completely out of the ordinary, beautiful white snow, and then back home, our neighbors out in LA are going through hell right now, literally.
That's crazy.
And I was telling Janie too, I go, I wish we could just take this. Why can't we give this snow over to LA and what it could do for them? And I think it's funny is the same system that brought the snow here actually brought the fire out there because of the cold front, brought down the cold, the winds. And then I learned about the humidity. It made humidity like single digits, which made everything like paper dry and susceptible to fire. And I've been watching on Instagram and TikTok and watching the news. Our hearts go out to everybody out there that's affected from these fires. It's scary what's happening. And it almost looks like post-apocalyptic.
Yeah. Did you see Pacific Palisades?
Dude, I'm like something from a movie.
Like out of a bad apocalyptic.
Yeah. And I'm like, what? And it's hard to really visualize. It's one thing, but imagining experiencing it. And some of the videos that I was watching of people like escaping, like there was a certain video of somebody was like going through a tunnel.
You sent that to me.
I sent that to you. And my heart was like,
did you see the one of the 2 guys that were in their house and it was all glass, right? So it was like a U shape and they're stuck inside and there's fires all around completely.
And they didn't make it.
Yeah. It was,
And it's like,
man, I get the chills.
Dude, oh my God, it was heart wrenching and they're still going through it. I don't know, man. It's bonkers.
Yeah, it's completely crazy out there. So big shout out to all those people out there that are going through that because it's loss, right? Like over here, we got snow. Yeah, big deal. You're locked in for 4 or 5 days, but out there, you're just losing everything. And I saw those pictures of Pacific Palisades. It looked like a war zone, and they showed the before and after, and it's just all just gray completely. And if you've ever seen anything like a mountain or something that gets decimated by fires, it's just an eerie sight.
Yeah, I saw some videos too, and it was, I don't know if I sent it to you, but it showed like a McDonald's that was burning up. And
I saw that.
It was going off like it literally looked like a sparkler, like a firecracker, right? There was no flames anywhere, but it helps put into perspective how these things actually happen. And when they have 100-mile-an-hour winds, they were getting sustained 60-mile-an-hour winds, gusts up to 100 miles an hour. And you might have a fire half a mile away or the next block or on the hill, and the wind shifts and hits, and then all those embers flying right through it, and it lights those things up. And it's like, how did this one building catch fire and everything else has no fire? You know what I mean? Around it.
The one from McDonald's that you sent was like, because you just see it. It always just those little amber
flames. It was like a fireplace. I was telling Janie, I was showing them, I go, it's like a fireplace, and you're like stoking the flame, and you're just sitting there going, you're keeping it alive, and it's going. And then whatever ashes and ambers that are flying off to the next building, and it's just crazy. I don't know how they do it out there. Much respect and love to the firefighters that are out there fighting. And I know they have troubles and they're going through the issues that they have. And I don't know how anybody prepares for something like what happened and what's going on right now over in LA, but I hope they get it under control. And I hope God just pours some rain down on them so that it can help slow. I think the last time it was like 6% contained after all these days. I don't know.
Yeah, it's crazy. Terry Arco, thousands of homes with pools destroyed. The industry is going to have to come together to help with the recovery. 100%. You got to figure something out. Michael was saying that the National Guard arrived in LA last night to enforce curfews.
Yeah, what piece of shit. You know what I mean? Dude, I'm like, what frustrates me with people sometimes, human, and why I'm the way I am sometimes, and sometimes you get a little jaded. You got the best of humanity when they come together, and you got the scum of the life, or scum of the earth, right, that start taking advantage of situations like this and doing what they're doing. But that's everywhere you go. People are opportunists, and they do stupid shit like that, but I don't know.
Now that we're over that doom and gloom, Zach, how are you?
That's hard to follow. I'm not gonna lie.
Zach's like, you can't hear me. I can't see.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm down here where it's cold and that's it.
Cold and rainy. And me and Leslie are jealous of you guys because it's always fun to get a good snow. And It's amazing to me how close I really am to you, but how different our weather
That is
is.
so weird. Because it's sometimes you've got like these big, huge storms, and we're not that far. And I'm like, but look at Jeanette. An example, Jeanette is on here. Jeanette, are you on here? Because I was messaging back and forth with her yesterday. And look, she's saying that. And Rockwall is only maybe an hour at best from where I'm at. I don't even think it's an hour away, but maybe it is an hour away. Thought out in Rockwall and didn't get much at home out east. That's just crazy. The kids would have loved it to be out here. So that would have been fun to see all your kids out here playing in the snow, having a good time. So
Snow's cool when you get it for short periods and you get to enjoy it. I remember we went to Idaho, I think it was like 2 years ago. Leslie, it's like out of a Hallmark movie, just beautiful, and all the icicles and Christmas lights and fresh powder everywhere. And we're walking down Main Street in the town and the little coffee shops. And she's just like, we have to move here. Like, we have to move here. And I'm like,
Hallmark movie.
yeah, this doesn't like last like this. And by the time we were leaving, it was the slushy mud, ice everywhere.
Oh, I totally get it, man.
Did you start doing one of those Hallmark movies where she's like, "Oh, I'm the big corporate lady that left the town and I went to New York to run a
That's
big
every
company."
Hallmark movie.
And Zach is all, "I stayed back to take care of the family company, which if I don't come up with $30,000 by Friday, we're going to lose everything."
Somebody's won a lot of lifetime.
Yeah, he knows it. That's the plot
with my
of
marketing
everyone.
skills, I can help you and we can raise $30,000 and save the town. I'm going to leave the big city and move back home.
And then the Christmas festival. And yep, you nailed every Hallmark movie.
Oh, that's awesome. Big shout out to everybody that's out there. Mr. Max O'Brien, what's going on? Terry Arker, Jordan, big shout out to you. Maria out there, Michael Krause, Jeanette, Ripple Effect Todd, big shout out to you out there. Drew, big shout out to you as well. So big shout out to everybody out there. Completely crazy what we are going through. Got a couple things we're excited about. Our new newsletter will be going out later today. Excited about that. Got some fun stuff on there. Want to talk really quick about the Pool Nation Business Matrix Group, which is next Saturday, and I cannot wait. So for those of you that are listening, our journey starts next Saturday. We're going to be starting on the 18th. We're going to be talking about setting SMART goals. You'll have to set 2 different goals that we are going to be holding you accountable to. From there, we're going to move over to financial KPIs. We're going to talk about chart of accounts. And what's going to happen is we're going to talk about all these financials, all these different financial KPIs. And from there, you'll have to have 2 to 4 that you're going to track. So you'll be able to have now some business goals. You're going to have some financial KPIs that you're going to be tracking. We're going to turn around and come back in June, and we are going to do a complete financial class. When we give you those charts of accounts, you're going to have some homework, have to bring those numbers. We'll do that class. And then what will happen is we will plug them into the program by the end of the class. And what's going to happen is you're going to learn your true cost of service, profit per pool, cost per pool, couple of other different KPIs that you'll be able to get. And the beauty of it is you will also have a profit and loss, which will create the roadmap. And we have some really exciting stuff, but the problem is we're too ahead to be able to talk about it. But I've been talking to some companies, boys, that are going to help us out, and especially when it comes to sitting down with somebody in these companies and helping them increase their profits and stuff like that. We got something up our sleeves that I talked to yesterday, which I haven't even shared with you guys, but they are going to step in and help out with this group in some areas to increase profit. I'm sure I tell you guys, and you guys are clicking who it is and what they will do, but exciting stuff. We also have some amazing rebates just for them, some really cool stuff. So Aquastar pumps, you will have $300 off Aquastar pumps, up to $50. You will also be able to get a discount on the attendant of $500. And then the beauty of it is you will be able to get one of their trainers, one of their installers, and you'll be able to schedule that, and they'll come out and help you install that first one if you're part of that business matrix group. And then we have a couple other things that we are working on that we will be able to announce here shortly with regards to resources that you will have access to, people that you will have access to. And that includes a lot of stuff from the HR side, from the financial side, from retirement side, just tons of stuff that is coming through the pipeline. So we are really excited about that. Then we're going to turn around. We're going to start then getting into the employee life cycle. And then, boys, believe it or not, October is around the corner. We'll be at the Pool Nation Awards. We'll be at the PSP Expo. We will have some special classes for the Business Matrix and the Pool Nation Conference. We'll be back. And then there's one more thing that we can't share with, which Zach, we're really close to being able to announce. Zach, did you see Zach? Zach did that nervous, like, oh crap, what's coming now?
Dude, we even talked about the Western.
No, we haven't. We're going to talk about that.
The Western is 2 weeks away or 3 weeks away.
Let's see here. Yeah, one thing really quick. David, jump on. Everyone is always so surprised when it snows in Texas. From the outside, it looks like it happens every year. What gives? This is my pet peeve. We're going to come back to the Western, John. But here's the thing. When I moved to Texas, everybody talked about the damn Texas heat. Nobody talked about the cold weather. And David, let me tell you this. I moved out here, and the first cold thing that we had, they were like, that's a one in a generation thing. And the next one was a one in a lifetime thing. And the next one was, oh, this is like one in every 20 years. And oh, this one. And I'm like, you know what? You guys need to stop with the nonsense. It snows in Texas every year. Okay. So for those of you that say it doesn't snow in Texas, it snows in Texas pretty much every year. David, you called it 100%. So
that is interesting, though. When I moved here, like, I had no inclination that it got cold. No one said anything.
That's why I didn't mind moving at all. It was the Texas heat. And then that first winter that I got, and you guys know how I hate the cold. I'm just not built for it, you know. David is saying, can you join the Matrix later in the year, or is it now or never thing? So David, we run on a year cycle on the Matrix, and that's the way that we're going to run it, because what we do is everything that we do will build on top of everything else. And every time that we have a meeting, there's going to be work, there's going to be homework that you'll need to prepare for the next Matrix. So an example, if you wait and you're like, oh, I want to join in June, and I want to then at that point do the financial part, your goals are going to tie into it. The KPIs that you'll learn will tie into it. The chart of accounts that we did give you, it'll tie into it. So it just kind of ties into all of it. So it's one of those that you have to sign up for the January class before this January one starts. And then if not, you have to wait until the following year, because what will happen to this business matrix group is this business matrix group for next year will continue to build on their business, but they won't have to go back and take these classes again because we've already fed those through. A pool guys check to see if your liability has loss of income policy. That's a huge one. You know what? That's something we should talk to Danielle about. That's actually a great point, Max. As pool guys, check to see if your liability insurance has loss of income policy. That's huge. You know what, Max? I'm going to call Danielle right after this podcast, and we got to have her on and talk about some of those things, especially for all these guys out there in California. And then Kevin from Pool Brain is saying it snows in North Texas. So Kevin, nobody told me that before we moved out here. And I think Kevin is in Austin. Kevin, are you in Austin? And then I don't think Austin has gotten too much snow down there. So anyways, got the business matrix. John, let's talk about the Western because it's right around the corner.
I know.
Let's talk about it.
First, when you talked about our first meeting is next Saturday, to me, I kept thinking it was still a couple weeks away, and time just, it absolutely flies by. And then right after we get done with our meeting next Saturday with our first inaugural Matrix meeting, we have the Western. And I think it's creeping up on us so quickly is because it's a month early, right?
Yeah.
Because of and everything is a month early. So I think this year it's going to be a reoccurring statement, and we're going to sound like just a bunch of old men. Oh God, time flies, right? God, where did the time go? Right?
Time flies.
Where did
the
the time
weather
go?
and the time.
Exactly, right? That's what it seems like. But we have the Western, which is right around the corner as well. And we're excited for that one as well. And the whole team out there, Eric, Stan, everybody. I grew up at the Western show, and a lot of pool guys and gals locally, especially in California, that has been like the show for us over there. They are heavily invested in education, and they service the pool pros has always been the thing, right? And that was my first pool show I ever went to, and we go every single year, and we've been honored with the opportunity to be able to teach some classes there. And we have a list of Pool Nation instructors that have put together some pretty amazing topics and classes, and this year is no different. If you look at for the last couple of years, I think last year, first year we had, I don't know, we had a bunch of classes, 4 classes or whatever. And then it morphed into doing like 10, 11 classes. And then this year, I think we have 13 classes that we're doing. And if you look at it, look at the map, and you can look from the middle top all the way down to the bottom. You can see all our courses that we're going to be doing there. And this year, we're coming back out of retirement a little bit, and we're going to be doing some classes there as well.
Not only that, I just looked at this. I don't know who did this schedule. I think Zach was in charge of the schedule this year. But John, on Friday, we do a class from 10 to 10:45. We do a class from 11 to 12:45. We do a class from 1 to 2:45. And then we have to be on the floor at 3:00 in the afternoon.
It'll be a fun day. That doesn't really bother me as much as it used to. Now, look, for anybody following, we were just talking about it. I'm on over 5 months now, no smoking.
That's
Whoa,
awesome, dude.
has it been that
That flew by.
that flew
Yeah.
by?
Right? Time flew by, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm
So,
talking about.
I'm like at over 150 days, but when stuff like that happens as a smoker, and it's sad, and one of the reasons why I wanted to quit as well is because your life, you're almost a slave to it, and you got to think of, well, if we're going to be starting at that time and finishing there, when am I going to have time to walk out and have a cigarette, right? You know
Right.
what I mean? Well, I don't have to worry about that anymore, so I'm good. My schedule's open. I'm fine to run from 7 a.m. until whenever. I think it's better that way anyways, because we get in our rhythm. We always.
Yeah. And the classes are going to build on top of each other. They're meant, but I'll talk about them really quick here. So we start on Thursday. We start with our friend Terry Arco, elevating pool care, comprehensive responsibilities of a modern pool pro. Then we go into filtration, how it impacts your performance and your profitability with our boy Brian Cresson. We go into our first class that I didn't talk about, which is 4 to 5:45, business efficiency, masters of operational efficiencies for success. That one is going to be Zach. And then we're doing mastering heat pumps. Zach, I'm waiting. I got the PowerPoint ready. I'm going to send it to you on Monday.
I'm like,
but I did not let you know, but that one's coming for you. We are doing the next day in the morning, mastering heat pumps, efficiency and installations with Brian Duncan at Raypack. And then we start all of our classes, which is ensuring financial security, protecting your future, family, and business. Then we go into understanding financials, business metrics, and the cost of your service. And then we move into profit strategies, growth through customer-centric approaches. And then on Saturday, we have Mastering Water Chemistry, Essential Principles of Pool Care with Alicia Stevens, Innovations in Algae Treatment and Insights You Didn't Know That You Needed, Alicia Stevens. And then our boy Steve Barn comes in and does Mastering Hydraulics. So those are all the classes that we have there, on top of all the amazing classes that they have there at the Western Pool and Spa Show. So go to westernshow.com. You can see the entire schedule right there. It's a PDF. And then we're also including it in the Pool Nation Spotlights and Insights that's going out. I added it all the way to the bottom so people can have access to that. Remember that the show is early this year. It is 1 month early. It's going to be February 6th through the 8th out in Long Beach, California, which I guess I better book some tickets here soon.
I was looking at my wardrobe I was going to bring, and I have those shoes sitting in my closet that I wore last year. And I was like, nah, I'm going to leave these ones behind.
What happened to your shoes?
I sprained my ankle.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah, you want to leave those. You know what I'm going to do just to play it safe? I am going to bring a stroller for you. That way I can just put you in the stroller and take
Hey,
you.
I'm not opposed to that. Just push me around.
No, we'll rent you one of those little scooters, and you could just drive around in the scooter all day. Anyways, guys, let's do this. We got to get back on track. Let's take a word from our sponsors. When we come back, we are going to jump in. And one of the questions that was sent in, and Zach and I talked about it a little bit on the Instagram Live while John was flying out to Texas. And we really talked about some KPIs. We talked about something that's really big, and that is customer retention, especially as you're trying to break out, being able to scale, being able to grow. Kind of at what points you're going to hit some roadblock. Let's see here. Max says, I'll be at the ISA booth most of the day on Saturday. Hope you guys stop by. Bro, you're going to be like right next to us. You're the table that is right next to us at the Western. I think it goes IPSA every year, and then we're next to it. And then after that, we have Ken from Ultimate Pool. So Max is definitely looking forward to that. So gentlemen, John, go play in the snow real quick while we take a word from our sponsors. We'll be right back.
The Hyper Pole from Ultimate Pool Tools is a pool care pole designed by pool professionals for pool professionals, featuring precision-crafted carbon fiber and stainless steel construction. Go to ultimatepooltools.com or Instagram at Ultimate Pool Tools. Pool pros have specific needs when it comes to general liability insurance. The SPPA program has you covered. With 3 tailored and customizable general liability options, SPPA makes it easy for pool pros to feel secure. Find out more and get covered at thesppa.com. Now available, Pool Invoice. Pool Invoice is a pool billing software created specifically for the pool service and repair industry. It's developed for our industry and only our industry. Pool Invoice is built with reoccurring billing in mind. You can print, email, text invoices, or even send via WhatsApp. You can add reoccurring or yearly charges, accept credits, and set up autopay. You can even see when customers have seen the invoice. It even has a customer portal where they can log in and see, print, and pay invoices. It has all your customers' information on one page, so you don't need to search through hundreds of invoices looking for the one you need. Just go to the customer profile and it's all at your fingertips. Created specifically for the pool industry, Pool Invoice. Now available at poolinvoice.com. Blu-ray XL is the power of minerals working for you. Reduce your overall chemical costs and labor up to 50% guaranteed. Whether you have 20 accounts or 20,000, Blu-ray XL's direct pricing and free shipping to the pool trade have you covered. Improving pool professionals' profit and work-life balance is what they do. Blu-ray XL, the real mineral purifier. Visit them at BluRayXL.com.
Blu-ray all day.
Aquastar's new pipeline cartridge filters, available in 2 sizes, deliver top-notch hydraulic efficiency along with best-in-class filtration performance, approaching that of DE filters. Uniquely designed, open pleat spacing means 100% of the media square footage is usable, and these claims are backed by NSF test results. Designed with the pro's time and comfort in mind, the patented double-locking system improves safety and ease of access, making filter cleaners faster than ever before. Available now. Ask your supplier for pipeline filters today.
Natural Chemistry, a leader in specialty water care solutions for over 30 years, is proud to provide products that make pool service easier than ever before. Its unique enzyme formulations in Pro Series Pro Blend improve efficiency of your pool program while reducing frequency of filter cleaning and scum lines. Natural Chemistry is also well known for its wide variety of phosphate removal solutions that include a non-clouding formula in Phos-Free and extremely high-range removal with Pro Series Phos Remove or Phos Free Max. Save time, save money, save work with Pro Series products. Stop sacrificing durability or efficiency with the help of Raypak's new Avia HD models that utilize NITEC, their exclusive industry-first technology. NITEC heat exchanger technology is Raypak's latest solution to superior strength and maximum efficiency when it comes to residential pool heating. With 900% more nickel compared to copper nickel in critical surfaces, NITEC creates an ideal surface to protect against scale formation and erosion without compromising on Avia's 84% thermal efficiency. Learn more at raypak.com/NITEC. The next evolution in lighting is here. Universal Color Logic 2.0 from Hayward. The latest in pool and spa lighting was designed with you in mind, making installation a breeze. Upgrades include a detachable cord and first-of-a-kind adjustable lower catch to overcome variations in plaster thickness. As always, Universal Color Logic lights retrofit into virtually any in-ground pool or spa while delivering industry-leading, vibrant color. Visit Hayward.com to discover more.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Pool Nation Live podcast. We continue our conversation here. John must be still out playing in the snow because we sent him out to the snow to play. So we are at this stage. Well, there he is. He came back. Anyways, we are obviously doing our podcast. We've talked a little bit about the Western show that we're excited about. We also have the Southwest show that is going to be happening at the same time, the 6th through the 8th, Atlantic City, which is happening over here at the end of January 28th, I think, around there. So check it out. And then the Florida one, which is mid-March. So, definitely check them all out. Get out there, get education, get trained, get out there, network, take a look at the latest products that are out in the industry as well. So, gentlemen, Zach and I talked a little bit about this on the Instagram Live. Last week, we talked on the podcast, and we talked pretty quickly about some of the struggles with regards to clients paying late and some of the things that they could do to be able to streamline that process. And obviously really important as you start to grow, as you start to scale, really getting all of that billing and customers to be able to pay on time, because obviously it's going to really tap into, your cash flow and being able to give you the money to scale. So John, you okay? He seems like he's out there to the snow. Did you see that? It's just, is it snowing and you're just sitting out there like, no.
I am enjoying the view.
It's a pretty cool view.
But my makeshift studio right here where I'm at, because of the snow and being snowed in and us not being able to go there, my back is killing me and I'm like propped up. I'm not on a chair. I don't have much room. It's weird where I'm at and the struggle is real. I'm very uncomfortable, so I'm just trying to get through it.
Hey, big shout out to our boy, David Jones. David Jones was supposed to be out here. We had to cancel. We kept checking the weather all the way to the last minute. David, you are lucky that you did not come out here because you would be stuck in a hotel room out in Frisco, really with not being able to do much because it's been crazy. And the thing is, I don't think it's going to clear out by tomorrow. So I think you would have had to probably stay until at least Saturday, right, John?
Oh, 100%. I'm still wondering. I'm hoping Sunday's still going to be okay for me to fly out. It's bonkers right now.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Anyways, so gentlemen, so moving on to the next thing, wanted to talk about, and that was something that was sent in. So here's what was sent in. On the podcast on the KPIs, you guys talked about customer retention, and this one spoke to me because I seem to be in the same spot of growth. I pick up 20 pools, but end up losing 20 pools during the year. So I feel like I can't grow. I feel stuck. I think this is one of those things that really, and I've talked about it, that doesn't become clear until you're in that path, in that journey. There's so many things along the path and journey that we learn. But I think this is one of those, gentlemen, that as you start to grow, you're taking on every single account, you're taking everything that you can. You by yourself can handle probably 80, 90 pools. At that point, you really start to stretch yourself thin. At that point, some of the things that have allowed you to grow, some of those things that have allowed that growth, start to fall through the cracks because you can't do it enough. And that could be simple things as communications with your customers, or some of the things that Zach and I have talked about, whether you're just being nice and being able to take the trash cans out into the yard, or sweep up, or clean, or do other things that you think are of value that you can do when you have 40 pools. And now you can't do those when you've got 90 pools. You're not answering the phone all the time because you're really super busy. So you start to drop some of that customer service that you used to be able to do. And in your mind, you still think that you're giving that great customer service because those customers that you do talk to and that you do see, you give them that one-on-one time. But the reality is, right now you have 90 customers. You can't touch those points with those customers as often as you used to. So we can get into that sense where you hit into that 90 and then really hit into that 130 pools, right? And now you have an employee. You're not training that employee to really focus on those points of customer retention because you're growing. It's the first time that you're going through the business, right? You're learning all these different things, so many things moving, billing, customers, customer complaints, the truck broke down, all these different things. And you hit that wall and you're like in that mode of, man, it feels like I grow to 130 pools really fast. How come I can't scale anymore? And one of the things and one of the KPIs that we don't look at is we don't look at the customer retention. We don't look at it and say, man, I pick up 20, 25 pools, but I lose 20, 25 pools every year. Why am I losing those 20, 25 pools? And that's really what's keeping you from being able to scale. So I want to talk about some of those things, maybe some of the things that the pool pros can do to really start to focus on that customer retention. I know some of the things that we'll talk about is really some of the basic things, but things that you need to sit back and look at. And I bet you some of those simple things you're not doing anymore. Gentlemen, I'm going to throw it back out to you guys and maybe we could talk about some of these things.
You want me to jump in on this one?
Yeah, I'm going to have you go first because we threw Zach for a loop here and had him go second. So he was texting me, John, that he was a little bit upset about it because I threw his flow off track.
It's opposite day.
Yeah, it's opposite day.
No, I just have some really good points that I think I want to bring up, and I know Zach is going to bring them up too. And then once Zach brings them up, then I'm not going to
You're not gonna have anything to talk about. So
right. So it's I want to jump and say this. Say
Jump
me. I'm the one who, look, let me talk about it. And then Zach is gonna be done and be like, damn it. What John said,
Zach,
right? You know
Zach
what I
is
mean?
gonna go ditto.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm not gonna take that approach. Look, what a great question. And this is one of the most important metrics that you can possibly track. And without clients, without customers, what are we doing? We're not really necessarily running a business. We're not going to be successful. We're not going to be around. But I want to look at this question. I think it's a little different. I think it's framed up, dig a little bit deeper into this, because I look at this and I can see it from multiple perspectives. And initially, when I look at it as a positive thing. I don't, just because you picked up 20 pools and you lost 20 pools, I don't necessarily look at that as, oh, I'm not growing, or I'm having a hard time growing, or I'm hitting a wall. I look at that personally as, hey, if you're going about it the right way, and I'm going to explain, I might go off on a tangent for a little bit here, but bear with me here and I'll bring it all together at the end. I look at this as phenomenal growth personally, because this is kind of how we have been operating for the last few years. We've always been a little net positive, but for the most part, it's net zero when it comes down to accounts. And I've spoken about this, and people that have listened to us over the years, is we do our top 10, bottom 10 accounts. And at all times, we have our best accounts and what the attributes are, what the qualities are, what the things that we look for and the things that we want from those accounts and why they are. And a lot of it is based off of money, how much money we make, type of relationship, time, effort, whatever that's put into it. And then the bottom 10 accounts are clients that we have that we wish we would have picked up, right? Problem customers, complainers, whatever it may be, the effort or the time that's put into chemical usage, whatever it is. And then we find a way to, as we pick up a customer, we lose a customer, we get rid of a customer, so that we can build up a route, a quality route, and build on a very solid foundation. And to me, being able to do that, get rid of 20 of my worst pools, and then gaining 20 great pools, I look at it as a huge success. But that's assuming that's what he's talking about. I got to imagine, and maybe he doesn't quite realize it, the problem with growing, especially if you've done this the first time and in our industry, and if you grow fast and you don't have a solid foundation or principles, or you don't have a terms of service or clear expectations, or you just don't have the education or the experience and wisdom to know what account you probably should take on, what account you shouldn't take on, what cues or what from a customer's attitude or personality and stuff, those types of little intricate things that we take into effect now, that we take into consideration when we bring on accounts, you tend to pick up a lot of crap. And we're in that position where, like, we need that pool, or we want that pool, we want to grow. And we're in this false sense of understanding that growth equals more accounts. And here's an opportunity. I want to take on this account. And if I have to bargain with my wage or what I charge, or maybe not disregard something I probably shouldn't because I just want the account and I want to grow, we set ourselves up for failure, for a lot of pain down the road, because now we start to have regret, or we start to not like doing that pool, or job might not be quite as fun dealing with this customer because you're getting text messages at whatever time, or the issues that are involved with that pool and you didn't price it correctly. So it starts to snowball, and it becomes the downfall for a lot of companies. And that's why I've seen over the years a lot of people go under very quickly, doing a very good job, having maybe 50 pools, 60 pools, and they're in their comfort zone and they're able to do what they're doing. Not saying that they couldn't improve on those 50, 60 pools, but they think that they need to grow to the 100 or the 120 and then get to the point where they need to bring on somebody. And they just grow so fast that they start to trip and fall and have to deal with all these unforeseen issues that they didn't take into consideration. I think slow, controlled growth is the way to scale any business, unless you have a rock solid foundation and the right people in place, the right employee or whatever, in order to be able to grow at a higher pace. If you lost 20 pools and only picked up 5 pools maybe, or you lost 20 pools and you weren't able to pick up any other pools, then I'd look at that and think, okay, then we really need to reevaluate what's going on here and what's happening. I don't necessarily look at this as a bad thing. I think this is a good thing as long as those things are happening. to go back to help with the customer retention. So let's look at it on the other side and see where maybe these are good accounts and they didn't plan on losing them and they didn't want to lose them and it hurt them at the end of the day, assuming that they have control or they understand what each pool or customer costs them every week or every month versus what income they bring in and what the net profit is on it. And hey, we all have accounts that if I lost this account, that one hurts, but I don't mind losing this one because I'm barely breaking even. When it comes down to that, and I might coin a new phrase here. I was thinking about it on the break when we were talking, and I'm sure somebody else has said it before, but customer retention is all about attention. And you can't put it any more clearer than that. We sometimes get lost as businessmen and women, especially if we just get our first employee or we enter that growth phase where we start to do more than what we're used to or what our clients are used to, and our time becomes very limited. And we have to sometimes go back to our roots and remember what got us there in the first place. And it goes back to when I first started. I remember my first pool, and I think I told this story once in one of our first podcasts, but one of our first accounts that I picked, it was the first account that I picked up. And of course, when we went out there, I didn't portray us that this was our first client and our first account, right, that we picked up. But I also didn't pretend like that we've been around for 100 years and I've been doing this for 1,000 years, my family. But the first pool, when we picked them up, I remember I was there every day for every day of the week, servicing and giving it like just the amazing attention because I didn't know and I was paranoid and I was learning at the same time. And I remember the client telling me at the time going, wow, you put out, it's amazing the amount of effort and how much time you spend here at our pool every single week. You know what I mean? We've never had anything or experienced anything like that before. This is an amazing da 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 da. And I'm thinking to myself, like, oh boy, how am I going to transition from this? You know what I mean? From being there literally 30 hours a week because I'm there learning, cleaning, super paranoid or whatever, and just not understanding to being able to service it correctly. But we still have that client going on almost 10 years later. But what I'm getting to is, and pull me back if I start wandering off, guys.
Pull them in, right, Zach. Pull them in.
Pull me in because, look, I'm like stuck in this room, right? I haven't been able to talk to anybody for like days. I'm starting to get a little crazy here. But when it comes down to attention and retaining your customers, it's the simple things that sometimes we have to look back at and see. It's not quite as complicated as one might think it is. It's the little things that we start to not do anymore.
Because you're too
Edgar,
busy. You're
Edgar, you talked about it too.
You're too busy. You've lost sight of what got, and there's nothing wrong with that, but you've lost sight of what were the things that you did well, right, Zach?
Yeah, it's like I talked about this on Wednesday. It's a cycle. And I think as you grow, it's like you encounter these different things and you get it on track. You start to work on this new thing that you need to be able to growth, and then you start to lose sight. You start looking at these KPIs and monitoring these things. You start to recognize like, hey, we're not retaining our customers like we should. And then you work really hard to rein it in and figure out, okay, what foundational things do I now need to put in place to be able to manage this? And then it's like rinse and repeat, right? And then you level up to the next stage and it happens all over again. But the challenge is that a lot of the times you're dealing with different things that are pulling you away from that attention that you should be giving your customers. And so I think it's really important in talking about the KPI, that John's point is know why they're canceling. I go through this and I'll be like, man, why did we lose all these pools? And I start digging into it. And we track that reasons for cancellation. And they were on route for 5 years. And we have had quite a few price increases in that time. So understandably, they started way down here and it's just getting to be too much for them or whatever it is, or whether it was a real estate transaction. So it's not all doom and gloom. A lot of times it's like a cleansing of your route, right? You're getting rid of you're losing these customers. Like John said, it's maybe they don't fit your model as it is today.
Yeah. And it's important, I think, to go back and to look at what has made you successful and figure out in your business if you could do that. Because what happens a lot of times is when you're smaller, you could do things like John, right, was talking about. And obviously, we're exaggerating with the joke of that pool and you're there 30 hours a week and stuff like that, and that attention. But you do that at a certain scale. We all did. We're all successful because of those things and that attention and that customer service that
I
we
used to give
give.
things away for free.
But you need to look at it as you start to grow and as you start to bring employees. You need to look at your business and go, man, how am I going to differentiate myself from everybody else? What are the things that we're going to do? What are the things that we can do? You talked about it, Zach. Once you grow and you have 10 employees, you can't afford to be able to go, okay, you guys do it all however you want and just figure it out. And hopefully that works. Like, you have to have a certain structure in order to be able to deal with some of the complaints that come up, and whether that's a 10-step process or a 15-step process. But along the way, that's not good enough anymore, because if you aren't communicating with the customer, if you aren't having that one-on-one relationship to a certain level, then guess what? They're going to go and they're going to move to somebody that's delivering that. But there's a point in your journey that you need to understand that you need to look at those things. You need to train your employees to be able to do that and be able to be attentive to the customer's needs. And if you don't do that, you can find yourself in that situation where you've got 150 pools and you're like, man, how come I can't scale? How come I can't grow? And it's going to take for you to go back to those customers and ask the difficult questions and figure out, either you send out a survey or the customers that are leaving you ask. And you have to be careful, because not every customer is going to be honest. When they're leaving you, they're like, oh, my brother's going to take care of the pool, or, oh, this is how, like, you really, truly have to want to know why they're leaving so they can address those situations. And it's not easy to sit there and say, hey, John, give me some negative feedback. I'm a business, right? It's not those things that we could sit there and take very easily. It takes experience and time to be able to take that feedback and be able to grow. What are the most critical items that provide the highest value to the customer, and how do you create and standardize a system for your team to follow and do those things every time without supervision?
We talked a lot about this on Wednesday, and I think that's really what it's all about. The things that add value in the respect of giving your customers attention. I don't think that necessarily really changes much as you grow. I think what the challenge is putting the systems in place as you grow to be able to maintain those things, as you get at a larger level. Because when you're thinking about scaling, eventually you're competing with the person that is out there. They're doing it themselves. They're providing that good quality. And in a lot of cases, they're doing it for less. And that may just be because their overhead isn't as much as, a company that has to have all these people. So we covered a lot of these things on Wednesday. And for me, I love the negative feedback. Sometimes I disagree with it. Sometimes there's just people that you can't please. But for me, the number one thing that I hear from people, well, the two number one things, I guess, is professionalism in the way we look and the way we talk, and communication. And that's what you were talking about. Like, when you get to that 90 pool level and you're out there trying to do the repairs, that is one of the things that most people, not intentionally, but just because of a matter of limited time, they lose control of, and that is communicating with your customers first. So for us, that's one of the fundamental things, is making sure that we're always keeping them in the loop. My motto is, I would rather over communicate. I have been told on a couple occasions that we communicate too much, but it's much less. Generally, they appreciate it more. But yeah, I am all about communication on appointments, when we're going, what time we'll be there, keeping those appointments, and what's going on with their account. To me, the more I can keep them informed, the more their expectations and our expectations stay aligned. And that cuts out a lot of problems. So I think communication is one of the top things that is not necessarily a high cost, and that would differentiate people when it comes to customer retention.
John, let me ask you, how do you communicate with your customers?
Oh, I've showed you some text messages, right?
No, but in general, right? Like, in general, how do you communicate with your customers?
Zach, you're spot on. I agree 1,000%. I think the lowest hanging fruit is the simple things like communication. we take it for granted sometimes, or we don't think of the importance of it. But something as simple as that really sets you apart from so many other companies out there that you're competing against. I believe that, and what I've learned that has helped us the most over the years is when it comes down to communication and that includes setting expectations from the beginning. That is a very critical moment in your relationship with that customer and how things are going to proceed moving forward. But it's also very important that you don't overpromise anything when it comes down to communicating. You got to learn to, on the saying, under promise and over deliver. It pays itself tenfold when it comes down to what a customer thinks about you and your company. Because if you set clear expectations and you deliver them, there is hardly any reason for there to be any complications between the relationship between you and your client. I think David right here brought up a good question. What are the most critical items that provide the highest value to a customer? And I know talking about something, what we're saying might seem really stupid simple, but it's true. Sticking your head in the sand sometimes, or not paying attention to certain issues or things that need to be taken care of, I think creates the fastest downfall for any company or any relationship with a client that you might have. When it comes down to like standardizing a system, it's basically coming with some form of SOP, right? Some standard operating platform, a checklist, so that when your employees go out into the backyard, they have a duty that they need to do at every single pool, every single time. And there's no deviation from that. Creating something like that and a list of that, and then following up and verifying that they're doing it, we find the easiest way for us to maintain a standard across all our customers or all our clients, so that we can help avoid some of those pitfalls that a lot of us get into, especially when you go from being a one polar and you're doing everything on your own. And you have that, Zach, you touched on it, when it comes down to the professionalism or time being limited and your employees interacting with clients and customers when they're out there on a job. As an owner, you have a completely different perspective, and there's a different power shift or a different environment that you're in. And when you're talking to them, I wish we can the ultimate goal is to be able to get an employee to feel to be as vested as you are in retaining that client, right? To them, it's just another paycheck, or it's just another job or another pool, and they don't have that connection with them. They don't see the end game. They don't have as much skin in the game as we do as owners. And though there might be some fairy tale employees out there and there are, I know, but they're very few and far between. And to have that type of expectation from each and every one of your employees, I think is unrealistic at times, and you're only going to set yourself up for failure. So to be able to establish a standard or what's expected of them every time they're in that backyard, and how to communicate or how to approach a customer, right? Professional.
And that's really important. And that's really important, John, because that's one of the things that doesn't happen. We so focus on, here's the water chemistry, here's the repairs, here's the thing, but we don't teach them the ABCs of that human skill. And that's so important into what we do, because it's such a relationship driven business. You're getting into the backyard, you're dealing with safety, you're dealing with the safety of their kids, you're dealing with all that. And if you have somebody and you don't teach them the skills to be able to communicate with that customer, at least you're not trying to get them to become best friends, but there is a level of skill in dealing with customers and customer service. I don't think that a lot of companies really focus on that. And if you do, you start to take that to the next level.
And the thing is, I think interactions among people are changing a little bit. I think the dynamic is changing with the generations and technology. And you hear those things about people can't have a conversation at dinner because they're sitting across from each other on cell phones. And it maybe wasn't something that had to be so taught in the past. It may have been a little bit more natural, but I think it's more important than ever. And I mean, that's something I've literally had on my radar. And it's like, we have to find a form of customer service and interaction training that we can put into place. But as it is with growth, it's just when you want to start working on one thing, you have to start working on another thing.
Other
And that's
curveballs come into the game.
and as John said, these are like they seem so simple, and at the base level they are,
But yet they're so complicated.
yet they're so complicated. And that's the whole thing, is it's what systems can we put in place to John, are you eating Tums right now?
Oh, did you hear me? No, I was eating.
I was watching your mouth, and I was
What are you eating?
I had a Tum. I had to take a Tum. My stomach.
Oh,
Yeah.
you're eating like some candies or something. Here's
I
David.
have a point I want to jump on and say.
Yeah. Let me read this in it. So I use Pool Brain. I can set up a standard for all customers, and then I can add custom stuff for customers. We need more unique service and deliverables. So much easier to deliver that value as you get bigger. Absolutely. And there's tools that are obviously set to be able to deliver on those.
And there's key companies that we can look at as examples that I look at these companies and I just like, wow, how do they do that? Like across the board with so many people. And it was interesting because you were talking about something on Wednesday, Edgar. It was with the customer interaction, and it's like a thing, right? That was like put in place. What was that? I can't remember.
So like an example. And so in hotels, it's all about customer service. It's all about the experience. And what happens a lot of times is, you get these people. So you take Hilton as a brand, and John is a Hilton guy, right? And John travels 150 days a year, but he's traveling all over the US, but he's staying at Hilton hotels all the time. It's like, how do we recognize John if he's coming to my property for the first time or he's never been before, right? The focus is that people like to be recognized, right? So an example, there's big studies on that, and which was huge for our software, was to be able to see his reservation, and then we'd be able to see how many nights he spent in Hilton hotel properties, right? And we'd be able to see 100, and we'd be able to go, oh, John, wow, this is your 100th night staying at a Hilton property. And John would be like, how the hell did he know that? But it makes John feel good. And then the other thing that was through that process is we're checking in a customer. Customers like to be recognized. Customers like to be called by their name, right? It gives them that recognition. So it was mandatory that through the check-in process, you had to call the customer by their name 3 times, because there's that study that shows that third time it clicks for that customer and it really starts to boost that recognition. So through the process, we taught all of the people doing that check-in, right? There's certain points during that check-in that we want you to hit. And here's the best opportunities for you to call Mr. Flawless by name 3 times. So there's things when you talk about customer service, when you do all those things that you can do, right? So you have a pool pro in the backyard, really recognize a customer, call them by name. Some of the things that I used to do is, and John does it as well, is you pull up to the property and you start looking at things that you can realize that people are passionate about. And it's whether it's their dogs, it's their kids, it's their grandkids, if it's landscape, if it's sports. I had a customer that used to throw a huge football Super Bowl party every year because he was a huge Patriot fan. Every time I saw him, I used to joke around with him. I used to bash on the Patriots and stuff like that. But now I'm creating that one-on-one value that he's going to remember. Oh my God, here comes Edgar. And, I'm going to be able to talk about football a little bit and do this. Or if little kids in the backyard, use the philosophy of Disney. And that is that if a cast member has to talk to a kid, they have to go to their knee to be able to do that. You start to implement some of those small things, and those things really, from a customer service standpoint, really start to elevate you. Whether it was dogs that we visited or any of those, you can figure out from the customer standpoint what those things are passionate about and address those and talk about those. Sorry, John, a little bit off track, but what was your point?
No, I think it is on track. I think we're going in the right direction, but this isn't a black and white answer, right? It's not a simple, it's not.
Yeah,
that
customer
easy,
service
right?
is not something that you can go do these 4 steps and you nail it.
Correct. I think this is another thing that's not really spoken about much. And it's one thing that I've learned over the years and what's helped us out immensely, especially when you get to the point where you're growing and you bring on an employee or bring on multiple employees. And it ties into what I said earlier about setting expectations, clear, concise expectations, and the communication portion of it as well, is I think the biggest, every company that hires their first employee and brings them on will lose some account because you're not doing their pool anymore.
100%.
It will happen. I don't 100%. Give a shit. It's going to happen. And our struggle is, how do we get an employee or get somebody out there who's as good as you, or preferably, and in a perfect world, better than you as managers or owners or growing up in management? and teaching people and coaching people, it was always like, find somebody better than you are to replace you. You want to make somebody great at what they do. And it's a struggle. In a corporate world, it's easier because you're both working for a paycheck and you're both a W-2 employee and you both have the same outlook and you're trying to advance your career and do whatever you're doing. You don't have that personal ownership like you do as a small business owner. It's a different dynamic at that moment, because as a business owner working in your business and now bringing an employee to work in your business, they don't have the same skin in the game like we talked about. So that's very hard to replicate, right? It's impossible unless you make them part owner, and that's a whole different subject. But what I found to help combat that was, when it came down to clear and honest communication with our clients, is setting standards and letting them know that, hey, look, this technician or our technician here, they are amazing. We're not going to skip a beat when it comes down to servicing your pool, to safety, to chemistry, to cleanliness, to professionalism. That stuff are never going to compromise. But I want you to understand and to know that their specific job and their duty is to service your pool, to clean it, There are other things, because we fell into a lot of issues when it came down to the knowledge or understanding of the pool, right? And repairs and why things go wrong. And a customer is very used to going out there and asking. And I tell a customer, I go, I've yet to be stumped on an issue with the pool or why something's happening. And they know it. They ask me a question, I give them the answer to it, right? This is why it's happening, and this is what we need to do to fix it, or whatever. And this is what we can do, or this is how you can help, or this is what we can install, or whatever it may be. But we can't expect our employee to have that type of knowledge at the get-go, especially, or to be able to invest that much time at a stop to sit and have a conversation with the customer for 30 minutes about this or that or whatever, right? And then we're sitting there looking at the time going, what the hell, bro? You're at that stop for 54 minutes. I know that pool, it should have been done within 20 or whatever, you know what I'm saying? And it's a slippery slope when it comes down to that. So we have clear expectations to our customers. And I'll go, hey, look, guys, nothing's changed, right? We're going to have, everything's going to be taken care of. Pool's going to be serviced this time. And so, you have to open yourself up and go, look, I'm always going to be available to my tech. If there is any issue that arises, or if you have any questions or anything like that, we'll still be able to take care of it. But sometimes repairs and stuff are going to need to be done on separate days or whatever needs to happen. And I found that to be invaluable to us. And it has eliminated so many headaches, because our clients know that just because we have a technician that is servicing their pool and I'm no longer doing it, or Janie's no longer doing it, that doesn't mean that we're not there anymore, right? Or we're not available, or our knowledge and our professionalism or our relationship ends at that moment. And we have to clearly communicate that with our customer and then deliver on it. And it's worked tremendously for us.
But there's a transitionary period, and it's not a bad thing. It's just like any business, right? There's certain things that you do, and at a certain point, your business has grown. You need to shift. You need to pivot. And so now you can't be the only person doing those pools. You might get a customer or two that complains or that leaves, but for the most part, your customers are going to stick with you, right? And then what's going to happen is you're going to educate them on how you do business from now on, because you've grown. And a lot of those customers will stay. But it's exactly like you're saying, John. It's like you have to focus on those things and have that conversation and tell that customer that, hey, yes, we're growing, but we're going to be there. This is how we're going to grow. But everybody that's in that spot, you're going to have to go through it. Like, you don't have a choice. You're going to have to face the music of, I am going to grow. And you sit there and you go, oh, well, I really don't want to do it because these customers are going to be upset. You're really only going to have one or two customers that are not going to like it. They're going to leave. But at that point, you have to transition and you have to move your company forward. And then from that point, John, just like you're saying, that communication is key to them to guarantee that you're going to be there, that you're still going to take care of the pool, that your company still lives off of that VIP high-end service. Let's do this. Let's take a quick word from our sponsors. When we come back, want to get your final thoughts. We'll be right back.
The Hyper Pole from Ultimate Pool Tools is a pool care pole designed by pool professionals for pool professionals, featuring precision crafted carbon fiber and stainless steel construction. Go to ultimatepooltools.com or Instagram at Ultimate Pool Tools. Pool pros have specific needs when it comes to general liability insurance. The SPPA program has you covered. With 3 tailored and customizable general liability options, SPPA makes it easy for pool pros to feel secure. Find out more and get covered at thesppa.com. Now available, Pool Invoice. Pool Invoice is a pool billing software created specifically for the pool service and repair industry. It's developed for our industry and only our industry. Pool Invoice is built with recurring billing in mind. You can print, email, text invoices, or even send via WhatsApp. You can add recurring or yearly charges, accept credits, and set up autopay. You can even see when customers have seen the invoice. It even has a customer portal where they can log in and see, print, and pay invoices. It has all your customers' information on one page, so you don't need to search through hundreds of invoices looking for the one you need. Just go to the customer profile and it's all at your fingertips. Created specifically for the pool industry, Pool Invoice. Now available at poolinvoice.com. Blu-ray XL is the power of minerals working for you. Reduce your overall chemical costs and labor up to 50% guaranteed. Whether you have 20 accounts or 20,000, Blu-ray XL's direct pricing and free shipping to the pool trade have you covered. Improving pool professionals' profit and work-life balance is what they do. Blu-ray XL, the real mineral purifier. Visit them at BluRayXL.com.
Blu-ray all day.
Aquastar's new pipeline cartridge filters, available in 2 sizes, deliver top-notch hydraulic efficiency along with best-in-class filtration performance, approaching that of DE filters. Uniquely designed, open pleat spacing means 100% of the media square footage is usable. And these claims are backed by NSF test results. Designed with the pro's time and comfort in mind, the patented double locking system improves safety and ease of access, making filter cleaners faster than ever before. Available now. Ask your supplier for pipeline filters today.
Natural Chemistry, a leader in specialty water care solutions for over 30 years, is proud to provide products that make pool service easier than ever before. Its unique enzyme formulations in Pro Series Pro Blend improve efficiency of your pool program while reducing frequency of filter cleaning and scum lines. Natural Chemistry is also well known for its wide variety of phosphate removal solutions that include a non-clouding formula in Phos-Free and extremely high-range removal with Pro Series Phos Remove or Phos Free Max. Save time, save money, save work with Pro Series products. Stop sacrificing durability or efficiency with the help of Raypak's new Avia HD models that utilize NITEC, their exclusive industry-first technology. NITEC heat exchanger technology is Raypak's latest solution to superior strength and maximum efficiency when it comes to residential pool heating. With 900% more nickel compared to copper nickel in critical surfaces, NITEC creates an ideal surface to protect against scale formation and erosion without compromising on Avia's 84% thermal efficiency. Learn more at raypak.com/NITEC. The next evolution in lighting is here. Universal Color Logic 2.0 from Hayward. The latest in pool and spa lighting was designed with you in mind, making installation a breeze. Upgrades include a detachable cord and first-of-a-kind adjustable lower catch to overcome variations in plaster thickness. As always, Universal Color Logic lights retrofit into virtually any in-ground pool or spa while delivering industry-leading, vibrant color. Visit Hayward.com to discover more.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Pool Nation Live podcast. Zach, I was a little worried there. I thought you were out with John playing in the snow. You just kind of, snow.
Nope, just rain here. Just really cold rain and wind that, like, when it blows it and it hits your face, it just feels like
hurts.
some needles hitting you.
Hate that. So, anyways, everything's gone backwards today. So this timing is perfect. So, John, let me get your final thoughts. Damn it, he came on. I thought I was going to be funny. And
I was like, that's slick right there.
Boom.
No, I'll go first.
Everything's backwards today. So I figured I was trying to be funny, but it didn't work. Whatever.
You want me to go first? I'll go first.
Turn off your camera and I'll say John, and then I'll joke around that you didn't come online. No, never mind. Just there you go. Final thoughts.
I'm going to use my final thoughts, and I'm going to keep talking about this because, like I said, I got all the time in the world, and there's a couple more points I want to make. So, look, all kidding aside, this is, again, a great question and such an important topic, right? And I think it's something that we really gloss over as business owners. We don't really pay attention or really understand the ramifications of some little simple things that we do, and we sit there and we get caught. Hang on. See, you got to remember, Janie, I can hear you laughing. It's on a delay, right? So when you listen to it live, there's a little bit of a delay, like 5 seconds, right? And then Janie's in here listening to the podcast live, and then she's sitting there giggling while I'm talking.
She's
right
cackling.
now. I'm not saying anything funny 5 seconds ago. Anyways,
Man, she's your biggest cheerleader.
I know.
Let her
She
laugh
is.
and let her.
All right,
Janie. Oh, she can't hear. Janie, if you're
Well,
listening,
she
can
will
we
in
get a
like
big
5
boo?
seconds.
Can we get a big boo from your side?
What I was getting at was it was brought up here, and I think it's something that we didn't really touch on too much, but I think it's an invaluable tool that can help us when it comes down to, number one, communication, which is the foundation of any relationship, right? Whether it's a business relationship, whether it's a personal relationship, anything with your children, communication is huge, whether it's verbally, non-verbally, stuff like that. There are tools out there for you to be able to harness and to utilize that'll help make life a little bit easier for you, or much easier, and help create that consistency amongst all your clients, so that when you do set expectations, or when it does come down to communication, everybody's on the same playing field. And it takes an enormous amount of pressure and load off of your back when you're that single polar that transitions into growing into bringing on an employee, or when you're at that point where maybe you've already had 5 employees or 5 trucks or 2 trucks, and now you're really scaling out and getting a service manager, and you're bumping up your fleet to 10 pools, to 10 trucks, and now we're talking about 1,000 accounts and stuff, utilizing software. And I think David, no, who brought it up?
David, yeah.
About Pool Brain, and the shameless plug out to our boys out there. But utilizing a program like that and standardizing your route, you just cannot put a dollar amount on having that peace of mind or being able to have that control. I remember when I first transitioned, that sounds weird. I remember as a single polar.
Now the truth of the beard comes out.
When I transitioned from, wow, this is going off the rails here, bro. When I went from doing pools the old school way, and I think the first software that I used at the time was Pay the Pool Man. I think it was what it was that we used. And it was life-changing for us to be able to have that. And then over the years, we've grown and we've moved on, but being able to harness technology like that and having a partner like Pool Brain, any of our listeners out here who doesn't have a program like that or is looking for something a little bit more, reach out to our friends over at Pool Brain, and I'm sure they'll be able to set you up with a demo and kind of help you with that when it comes down to that transition, because it is a critical part in our business. It's like having the cheapest, most dependable employee when it comes down to what it's able to provide for a very low cost. And we usually don't do, how do I put it? We don't peddle products like that, but when it comes down to something like this is really important. And I think that this needs to be talked about, and anybody in the pool industry nowadays, especially in our age of communication and the way things are done, if you're not utilizing a program like Pool Brain, you need to reevaluate that and get on it. So that's it for me. I'm loving it. Zacharias, your final thoughts.
He's doing the same thing that you do. He's waiting for me to go, Zach, final thoughts. Who are you kidding? Zach, final thoughts.
There we go. Okay. So just tagging on to what John said, and we're talking about customer retention and some of the critical things like David asked that could be done. And when you boil it down, a big part of it is just simply people. And John always talks about that, and people and whatnot. And a lot of times it can seem so complex, and there's books and there's programs and there's all these things on how to do good customer service and give the customer, what was John saying, customer retention is attention. But it can really be just simplified. And I think at a base level, it's just be a good human, care, build a personalized relationship, communicate with them, be honest, honor your commitments. And I think that's just the recipe to successful customer retention right there. Now, where the challenge comes into play is, how do I scale that? And how do I get that Nice.
Flawless snow angels.
It would be flawless. But how do I standardize this? And then that's where the systems come into place and the processes. And then not only the processes and systems for that, then you have to add the processes and systems for how do you train people and hold them accountable to delivering that good customer service. But all good stuff. And we could go on for hours on this, but don't overcomplicate it, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of important KPIs that you have to track as your business, right? And we always start with the financial KPIs because that's one of the things that we always focus on, right? How do I make more money? How do I make sure I'm making enough money? How do I make sure I'm making enough profit? But once you have those and you have those downs, really this specific KPI of customer retention is big, especially if you want to scale. Because if you can't keep customers, you're not going to scale. You're just going to continue to be in that cycle of pick up 20, lost 20, pick up 20, lost 20. And you're just not going to be able to scale. So really looking at a KPI like this, putting it on your dashboard, looking at it, it's going to be huge. And it's going to give you a lot of opportunity to dig deep and figure out as a company what you could do better to deliver on that and be able to continue to scale. So, gentlemen, thank you so much for jumping on the podcast. John, I'm so sorry that you've been locked up for 2 days now. Probably will be locked up tomorrow too. I looked out the window. I saw a little bit of stuff melting, but it's just still too much, way too much snow out there for that to melt just overnight.
I don't know. It's Texas.
That's true.
Yeah, but
we had a day it was like 70 and then it went down to 35 or something. It swings.
But today the high is supposed to be 36. So you will have some melt. But like John was saying, tonight's supposed to be like 17 or 18 degrees. That's where it all freezes.
That's
whatever
ice.
has melted.
Yeah.
There's your sleet. We'll see what happens by 3 o'clock tomorrow. Hopefully by 3 o'clock tomorrow, we should be fine. Here's the beauty is as soon as you get on the 380, John, the 380 will be pretty clear because there's a lot of cars that travel on it. It's more the neighborhoods that'll be a little tougher. You pulling out of your neighborhood and that little street where the little ranch is at with those horses and stuff like that, that will probably be nasty. And then when you make a right going to the 380, those little pieces right there will probably be a little ugly.
And clean off your roof before you go out.
Yes, clean off your roof.
See, another tip we learned, right?
Yep, there you go.
Beard, how to drink, now how to drive in snow, multifaceted.
In today's episode of the Pool Nation podcast and the Beard Nation podcast and the Snow Nation podcast, you learn it all. So everybody, I hope that you guys have a great weekend. We'll catch me and John next week on our Instagram Live, and we'll see you then. Have a good weekend, guys. Bye.
See you guys.
Thanks for listening to the Pool Nation podcast, a member of the Pool Nation family. You can listen to us live every Friday here at 9 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Central, and 12 noon Eastern Standard Time. You can find us at Pool Nation or poolnationpodcast.com, on Facebook, or on Instagram at pool.nation. And to find more info about Pool Invoice, the billing software built specifically for the pool industry, go to poolinvoice.com. Before you go, this is what the pool industry has been waiting for. Poolmanuniversity.com. It's the first platform dedicated to learning the swimming pool service and repair industry. A pool service community where you can connect and find videos on business, service, water chemistry, and repairs. See you there at poolmanuniversity.com.